In every argument, in every debate, you will think my understanding, my point of view is better than others. That is basically the root cause of arrogance. You would never give chance that maybe other person have a point. Even if you are understanding, my understanding of, let's say, Quran and Sunnah, or this point of view, or this argument is best. Give other person a chance, because if everyone is right, then who is wrong? Then everyone is right. I would actually give this a mathematical equation of what Rasulullah ﷺ is saying is Batar al-Haq, that deny the truth and belittling others. Always consider your ego to be in conflict with the truth. Write this down. Always consider your ego to be in the conflict of the truth. Do not think that you have reached always to the right conclusion. Always think that maybe it's an ego issue, maybe it's an arrogance issue, let me go back. Unless it's backed by Quran and Sunnah, then we don't have to look down, to have a second opinion. But there is that doubt. If I'm debating with my brother who is Muslim, he's bringing his evidence. Maybe my spouse, maybe in my family relationship, maybe in someone in the masjid. That's where our arrogance comes, right? Do not think always you are right. Because if everyone thinks they are right, then who's wrong? Maybe both of you are right, if you are discussing something about an arbitrary issue. But this is a self-delusion, then you are thinking you are always right. So, Batar al-Haq. وَغَمَزَ النَّاسِ. And what comes with Batar al-Haq? When you deny the truth all the time, then you will think truth is with you, and you will think you are better than others. And Ghamaz al-Nas is interesting term. You will actually start looking down upon others. Whenever you have argument, whenever you are debating with someone, you will always think, I have a better understanding all the time. That comes with the Ghamaz al-Nas. Okay, this is the prophetic definition of the arrogance. Now, when it comes to the hadith, and there are so many ayat and hadith, we can talk about hours and hours about what Rasulullah said for the punishment about arrogance. How one of the hadiths which will be sufficient for this is where Rasulullah says in Bukhari, "La yadkhulul jannah man kana fi qalbihi mithqal dharratin min kibr." He says, listen to this, subhanAllah, you can never enter Jannah. You cannot enter Jannah if you have arrogance equal to an atom weight in your heart. Think about it. Who's saying this? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's saying you cannot enter Jannah if you have dharra, atom weight arrogance in your heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clean our heart. Ameen ya Rabbi. And that's why this topic is so important. Because we are living in a modern world where they are asking you to be arrogant. Be yourself. Be your authentic self. Express yourself. This entire idea is very conducive to an arrogant environment. We are thinking about putting ourselves, making it subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. Very beautiful. So this hadith is actually coming from the perspective of making us optimistic, not pessimistic. And there is actually a very important point here, Jazakumullah khairan for reminding me. We do not believe in the mysticism of Catholicism. That's why I don't like the translation of Tazkiyah class as mysticism. Because they believe that we should crush our ego. But I don't, and we don't believe from our scholars, like the Taymiyyah actually wrote about this, we should not crush our ego. We should put our ego under the divine guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if there is no ego, there is no you. Do we need Jannah? So we are still concerned. To have our ego, what we are doing, we are putting our ego, making it subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the entire idea which came from Greek philosophy and Christianity, and it entered into some non-Sharia compliant tasawwuf, that you need to crush your ego. That there is no ego left. We don't believe that. That will lead us to pantheism. That's an extremely important point. You still have existence. There's a difference between creator and creation. But at the same time, keep reminding yourself that your heart, your nafs, your ego should not start competing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because your ego has that potential. So constantly remind your ego that becomes subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we talk about this, how to do that inshallah throughout this class. Okay, let me ask you this. What are the root causes of the failure of individuals? Is it incompetence or arrogance? What do you think? What are the reason, if I will ask you one reason, of failure for the individual, is it incompetence or arrogance? What do you think, Herani? Arrogance. Why? He will say he's better because he's arrogant. Then, mashallah, who can complete his point? It's very good point, mashallah. Is it incompetence or arrogance? What would be reason for your failure? Tell me. Oh, but if I have to pick one, tell me. Arrogance. Why? Absolutely. Because see, if you are humble, if you're not arrogant, even if you are incompetent, you would have heard the advice of the person who is saying, you need to learn this skill. But it's because of your arrogance, you are not willing to even learn. You're not willing to take advice. And what you learn is number one symptom that anyone will advise you, you will hate him. It's actually because of your arrogance in your heart. Iblis. What's the problem with Iblis? Is it incompetence or arrogance? SubhanAllah. Think about his portfolio of CV. If you see the books of Tafasir, but now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَأَصْرِفْ عَنْ آيَاتِ الَّذِينَ يَتَكَبَّرُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. The reason for Iblis becoming Iblis is because يَتَكَبَّرُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. He started showing arrogance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we turn him away from my ayat. Think about it. Think about it. The punishment of arrogance which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you in this dunya, that He will guard you, He will put a filter between you and Tawbah because of your arrogance. Is there any bigger punishment than this? That because you are arrogant, now the ability of doing Tawbah, the ability of saying sorry, the ability of saying I apologize will be taken away from you, and you always think you are right. This idea of self-criticism will be taken away from you. And this is huge. This is huge. Who have the potential of arrogance? Now, let's come to that. Who have the potential of arrogance? You remember I told you in jealousy? Who have the potential of jealousy? Let's do the revision quickly. People with common interest, like doctor with the medical doctor, shoes with the shoe, right? I should imagine. Allah Mustaan. The party with the party, the activist with the activist, the president of the masjid with the other volunteers of the masjid, right? So you have to be very careful. That's a common reason. That's if the Qudama. If the Qudama also says in the